How we doing, everybody? Greg Scott Bailey here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel, and welcome to The Last of Us Episode 5 review, finally, after all this time. I do apologize. I had told people before, I thought I already filmed and released this. I guess I didn't. The Friday release on HBO Max, I guess, threw me off, and what a schedule then, huh? I also realized I don't need my headset on when I'm doing these. So I don't have the big clamshells going anymore, at least for these reviews. You guys see me live on Twitch. I'll still be wearing the headphones, of course. Got to hear the zombies when they're trying to break in and attack, right? So speaking of zombies breaking in and attacking, we don't get that much on this episode. And once again, a reminder: this is a spoiler chat. My thoughts on the episode 5. So where do we start? Boy, Henry and Sam. Now, similar to I think Bill and Frank, we have another story, of course, about other characters that then will wrap in and involve Ellie and Joel. And I'm loving this. I'm loving this approach because I think any other show, you would probably have a bit of a little disconcerting, and some people have mentioned it, feeling because the show is about Joel and Ellie, but now we've had two episodes where we've had some focus on other characters. But to be quite honest, it fits. It fits with the format of what's going on here. What's nice is I kind of like how we're seeing Henry and Sam's side of things just before Joel and Ellie crash into their lives, so to speak. There's a real great sense of heart and wanting to see these characters survive and get through these perilous situations. The hard part about it is it inevitably leads us to the heartbreak of the story, but I'm not going to get ahead of myself a little bit there. What I like is they show you in this episode there is no real right or wrong at this point in these people's lives for 20 years. You have a form of government control in the Fedra. You have resistance individuals who resist these government controls. Now, later on, we find out in the episode that this Kansas City Fedra apparently was doing a lot of bad. And you could say that makes sense that there would be a resistance even more heavily, like what Joel and man, I forgot her name again already. Tessa, Tess. What they went through in Boston, it sounds like Kansas City was going through worse. So you want to sit there and you want to say, okay, I completely understand why that they would resist this and they would work on a form of getting around this government control. But at the same time, what they then show you in this episode is, for the most part, the infected are driven underground and mostly wiped out, mostly. But you don't see any of that infected up on the surface level. And, so for what, 3 years at least at that point, that was not the concern anymore. But I'm guessing, like, where could we obviously go with that? As things got complacent, as people felt more falsely safe in this world, the government control wanted to continue to have control, and the people got corrupt and they did wrong against its citizens. Citizens didn't want to put up with that anymore, so they resisted. So we swing all the way back to Henry, who, just wants to keep his little brother safe, right? Who wouldn't want to do that for the people that they love in their life? But he's given that difficult choice of betraying other people for the sake of his brother, and it's rough. I don't even know what the hell I would do in these situations that they put these characters in. It's tough. You want to be there for the ones you love. So then we go back to Kathleen, where I'm loving her more the second episode now, where we see her motivations even more, but we see that her vengeance has definitely driven her beyond reason. The hard part is why do the other people follow her? And to me, it seems like they had loyalty to her brother, but they saw action from Kathleen, and therefore seeing action and seeing forward momentum about what they were trying to do, it made sense to follow someone like Kathleen. Now, throughout this whole episode, you see her just she's gone. There is no coming back. And I love the after show. I love the actress pointing out that as a person herself, the actress, she sees that like you can't be that kind of person and get through life, and but the character itself cannot see that they have that blind vengeance, and I don't even know how I would handle someone like that either. I would definitely not want to be around them because I couldn't trust them anymore. They could think that something I did was a betrayal of that too, and then all of a sudden, just cold heartedly, I'm gone. So when people talk about villains in a show and a movie, and when we talk about those that are just outright despicable, at the very least, and I think I mentioned this last episode, right? We at least know that that motivation is driven to do something ruthless. With someone like Kathleen, you don't even know what she's going to consider to be her break point to eliminate you out of the equation. And I couldn't I could be around that kind of chaos of a mind. That's something else. So we see at least that the characters are trying to survive in their own way. So back to Henry and Sam, we get that moment where they're teaming up with Joel and Ellie. And one thing that I really loved about that moment, right at the beginning, the end of last episode, the beginning of this episode, or the eventual moment where they wake up Joel. What I like is there is this really nice tension moment. Like, look, we pulled our guns on you, but I don't know what to do from here because this is a first for me. Joel could cold heartedly just outright do something and probably take out both Henry and Sam, but he doesn't. And I think a little bit of Ellie's rubbing off on him that way too. But he also knows that it could be risky because he doesn't know, this little kid that's holding a gun on him could just simply pull the trigger, whatever. It's one of those things where it's like I can't even imagine what he's trying to calculate in that moment. But I think he saw that Henry is just trying to keep his little brother safe. And again, now that he's had some time with Ellie, I think there is a little bit of that rubbing off on him. It's taken 20 years for him to finally get relaxed a little bit. But I mean, we're talking just a little bit. So it's nice to see a little bit of that compassion coming back to Joel. And I think we definitely have a little bit of the story of Bill and Frank for that, and then I think we have more of a direct impact from Henry and Sam on that. It was nice to see these two groups work together and get out of Kansas City and try to move on, but inevitably, something's gonna happen, and I do like what Henry said about Joel. So Henry was saying that they were the ones to get to the tunnels. Joel's the ones to get them through the tunnels, and it was scary. Like the whole time that you're sitting there, I'm like, Ellie, don't play soccer. Stop smacking it up against the wall. But then again, we saw the ground sink, the crack of the concrete in the previous episode that Kathleen and her right hand person that they saw. So obviously the characters don't see it, but as a viewer, I'm just sitting there like stop making loud sounds. But it was kind of nice to see these two kids basically like just for a half a day get to be kids again, not have to worry about infected individuals and hunters with guns and everybody. They got to actually be kids for a little while, and I think both Joel and Henry appreciated that, seeing that a little bit. Well, Henry says it, he says it's nice to hear Sam laughing again or smiling again, it's that feeling. And what's nice about that too is I think it does put a little bit of hope back into both Henry and Joel. So then the inevitable does happen. That Kathleen's group's going to catch up to him, and what I like I like that they have this like sniper out on the outskirts, and they probably have people positioned in multiple places. Obviously, this just happened to be the one person that saw them and radioed in. But it's an interesting scenario because Joel, being the experienced person, he says, he can't shoot worth shit, or something like that. So he knows that he's got a chance to possibly sneak around and get to him. But the problem with that is, of course, it separates Joel from the rest of the group, and Kathleen catches up, and they can't get out of there. But what I loved, I mean, it sucks to see people suffer, but what I loved is the fact that things catch up to everybody. And the one fear that I think, Joel was having the whole time happened, and that was when that truck sunk into the ground, and inevitably all those creatures came out of the ground, and then the big bloater, I think is what they called it, comes out of there. I mean, the chaos that ensued right there. You had folks that were, for the most part, I think, like trained to try to defend their groups and their everybody in the resistance, but they didn't have any kind of tactical preparation for a swarm just coming out of nowhere. Once again, everybody is just getting complacent at this point. Probably 3 years without these infected. So when we inevitably see everybody get overwhelmed, it's just utter madness, because it still reminds you how dangerous this world is. Not just the people in it, but that there are still infected out there. Um, I I really hate to say it, but it's one of those things where I'm glad that this was just a 2 episode situation with Kathleen and a resistance group and Kansas City. I was really worried that the rest of the season might revolve around all of this. Again, I have no knowledge of how the game ends, so it's one of those things where I'm kind of sitting here just hoping, okay, don't stay with this too long. And so this was good. 2 episodes with this is just perfectly fine. Kathleen, you don't want to see really anybody get killed. I mean, in some of these stories, they do make like ultimately like real evil characters that you just want to say, like, okay, get rid of them, make them no longer a threat. But you sit there because you feel for Kathleen. You know that she's got a motivation of vengeance, because of loss, and you can't really blame her. Just like she couldn't really blame Henry, but she still wants to take Henry out. It's such a weird thing for her. It's just like, oh, I don't blame you, but you're still gonna die. It's just like, oh my god. So when she inevitably gets taken out by that little clicker, I guess, you sit there and you just kind of like, I don't know how to feel. I just I want her to not be something scary anymore to deal with, but at the same time, yeah, I don't want to see people hurt like that. So it was rough. Let alone her lieutenant, her second hand, that guy, which I hear he was the voice of Joel's brother in the video game. That was the voice actor. So, oh, what a rough way to go, poor guy. Oh my goodness. So last but not least, we wrap it up with the biggest emotional heartstring of it all. Not knowing the where the video game was going, I was assuming that they would team up with Henry and Sam for the journey, and then probably part ways again at some point. So I thought we were going to get them in the next episode. Boy, was I wrong. Oh god, it was that was a heartbreak. Sam having this connective moment with Ellie where they're talking like, "Aren't you afraid?" And not really. Okay, yeah, I am, but I'm afraid every day. I'm afraid I'm gonna end up being alone, and it's just, oh, that's the heartbreak there. And then they just pile upon it when we find out Sam's infected. And I was even holding out hope to that last moment that, wow, maybe Ellie can just cut her hand open and hold her blood over his, and I'm just kind of thinking, it's like, it doesn't really work that way, does it? But still, like, you're thinking like, oh, please let this be a it works in this story kind of moment. And I don't know why, like you see Sam sitting there, And I'm just thinking like, oh, good, he made it. And it's like I look back on it and I'm like, no, duh, he's gonna turn and then attack, and inevitably that's what happens. Okay, it does suck, but what follows and ends the episode is just, oh, it's crushing. But for Henry to have to take out Sam, and he's lost everything he's been striving for, was for his little brother, and I'm crushed when I see it happen, and he turns the gun on himself. And it's a driving force for characters like Joel and Ellie to endure and go through these things. I know there was what was that, the line there of the comic book they were reading, endure and survive or something like that. And it was one of those things where, sure, it's a redundant thing, but it's one of those things that I just like. Joel and Ellie are those that will endure, and it's not easy, but that's the lesson learned right there. Is, you know, I think you do what you can for those around you, but you do what you can for yourself to continue and survive and try to make it. And inevitably, it's going to be rough to see where these characters go with all of this. I just don't know. Now, saw a preview of next week's episode, and I'm looking forward to seeing what this ends up wrapping up, because we got episodes 6, 7, 8, and 9, so we got 4 episodes left, roughly 4 hours left. Anything can happen in 4 hours, so I look forward to seeing where the episode goes. So let me know your thoughts, what you guys think about the episode. As I'm recording this, within an hour I'm gonna see episode 6, so I will inevitably try to do my best to record the next episode after show spoiler talk. Again, I don't know if I ever really solidified the name of this, but again, these are my after show spoiler talks, and I certainly appreciate you guys coming out and watching them, commenting on them. Love to know your thoughts. If you are someone who has not seen the video game, don't know the plot, let's put some speculation where we think things are going to go. Put them down in the comments below. Please do watch spoilers. I will be monitoring, and I will try to remove spoilers if people do put like the video game spoilers on there. That's all I'm just asking, is that we don't spoil it for others. I did it on some of the previous videos. So, but yeah, thanks again. If you are new to the channel and you have not subscribed yet, go ahead and hit subscribe. Click that bell notification so you get notified every time I have new videos posted. And of course, click that thumbs up. Click the thumbs down if you liked or disliked the episode, and of course tell me why in the comments below, constructively, so that I know what I could work on as we build this channel. We are going for 1,000 subscribers, so if you would like to help out with that, I would certainly appreciate it. So thank you again, everybody, for stopping on by, and as always, see you on the next adventure. All right, bye-bye.